And a very popular critical model is Gibbs' reflective cycle. This is a way for the teacher to think about the different aspects of something which has happened in the classroom. Again, it's in the form of a cycle, and it's very much about understanding something, an event or a situation, describing it, evaluating, and establishing a course of action in relation to that reflection. This model, therefore, is very much about helping the teacher understand a particular situation from a very detailed point of view, because there are quite a few steps in this cycle, and we can see this in the diagram. I suppose the starting point here is the description, what actually happened. And in the model, this leads into feelings and evaluation. It's important to consider the aspects of the teacher's feelings here. In other words, what were you thinking and feeling about that particular incident? And then to evaluate what was good about it, what was bad about it. After the evaluation comes the analysis. What sense can you make from this particular model? What sense can you make from what happened? Again, linking it to theory or concept. And from this, the teacher can make some conclusions, come to some sort of decisions, which will lead into action. And of course, then from action, there will be another chance for description. So again, we get that spiral of thinking. So Gibbs' reflective cycle has a lot of components to it. But again, it's all focused on asking particular questions at particular points in the cycle. So, for example, in the description phase, what happened, it is very much about the teacher describing in detail the event that took place and including particular focus points. So in other words, where were you? Who else was there? What were the students doing? Why were you there? Why were other people there? Asking very simple questions, but quite probing questions. In terms of what happened, what was your part in any particular incident that happened in the classroom, and what was the result? Again, with previous models, the questions here are not fixed. They're very much for the teacher to think about and design for themselves. It's the individual components which add up to make the reflective process. The feelings component is very much about the teacher trying to recall the reaction to incidents in the classroom. How were they feeling about it? What were the emotions that were involved? And how does this feeling make you feel about the event when it started and during, and then also even after the event? This is very much about linking the teacher to the activity in the classroom and the actions which are taking place. How did you feel about the outcome of the event? So in terms of feelings, you're thinking before, during, and after what happens in the classroom. The next phase of the cycle is evaluation. What was good and what was bad about the experience? This is for the teacher to make a judgment for themselves about the teaching in the classroom, the actual incident. And from this leads into further questions about what went well, what didn't go well, and perhaps to start to consider why. Because from this phase, the teacher moves into analysis. After the evaluation, what went well, what didn't go well, the good experience, the bad experience, how does this link to what we know about education, about teaching, and about learning from all the theories which we're exposed to? So it's very much about breaking down the analysis into component parts, and could include questions like, well, what did you do? What did others do that was good? And how does this actually relate to what we know about theory? In what way did others contribute to what happened in the classroom? And this ultimately leads on to the point where some judgment is made by the teacher, some conclusion what else could you have done, for example. This is quite different from the evaluation and the analysis stage, because it is very much about putting a stop to the reflection that's taking place. It has to end at some point, and there has to be some decisions. So it forms part of the reflective cycle, even though it does actually stop thinking, because after the conclusion phase, when you're thinking about how things could be done differently, what were the results and how this will impact on the future, comes the next action phase. And in the Gibbs cycle, the action plan that the teacher comes up with is a result of all that previous thinking, including the conclusion, the judgments that were made about what was happening in the classroom. With the action plan, you have to consider how you would do things differently based on the reflection. And perhaps most important to remember is that, again, from action comes another cycle of reflection. And so, again, it is continuous, even though there is that point of stopping, conclusion, built into the cycle.